Hey everybody,
Welcome, everybody.
Um, it's Monday, and I have my sexy 1900 voice on because I got Izzy's cold, and Blaine is feeling a bit crappy himself too.
Yes. Izzy was the plague bearer
Izzy
on this
is
one.
patient zero. I hope everybody can hear us. Can I just get some thumbs up if you can hear us? Okay, that'd be great. Popcorn, Patrick, you got popcorn? Can everybody hear us? I just want to make sure. I think everybody can hear us.
I hope so.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not commenting.
Well, here we go. Let me make sure we're on the right mic here. Nope, we are not. There we go. How's that now?
No, she said she could hear us
Okay,
fine, and now
perfect.
you messed it up.
No, I didn't mess it up. We're just on the better mics now.
Oh, so everybody can still hear us, right?
Okay,
Okay. Brent, thumbs up that you can hear us. Good.
perfect.
Welcome. Look at all the people online already. This is amazing. Eric, all the way from Montreal. Let me find my mouse here. We've got Tim was the first one on at 4:30. Good job, Tim. River Randy.
Hey, River Randy.
We've actually met River Randy on Zoom now, which is
We
cool.
have.
Patrick, William is here. RV Sparky, Spaced Man Spiff. I love that name. Makes me laugh.
Michael Darcy. is here as
Jazzmac,
well.
Michael Darcy, Rick Dunner, Tim, Bonita and Tillman, Patrick. Look at everybody. This is awesome. And Kelly, Kevin, Eric, Jazzmac. I said Doug is here. Holy cow. Okay.
Joe.
And Brent is here, right from Mexico. We're a bit jealous because here we are in our toques, and there's Brent in Mexico with a suntan.
Yep.
Brent, can you chat?
It's terrible. Not getting any audio from Brent currently.
No, Brent, we've got no audio from you, my dear.
Okay, so should we get cracking here?
Yeah, let's get cracking. So,
did you want to talk about the short live tonight?
Yes, sorry guys, because we're ill, we're going to 1 hour. I've got bad news. I'm in school all week at Royal Roads, and I'm doing 9 calls every day. That's killing me. I drink a lot of tea. 9 hours every day, and I'm sick. So we are not going to have a video on Wednesday. I'm sorry, I just don't have the capacity. Our first video will be on Friday and Sunday. Okay, so my apologies. But we will go live on Monday. So the next video will be Friday. And I've had to admit that I just can't do it. Your mic is cutting when you move. When I move, Manita. Okay, there we go. And Blaine went up, sorry.
I did. Sorry, I said weird because there's a weird noise. Like
okay.
A rumbly.
If we have any more mic issues, please let us know. So the first thing we want to talk about is this picture, because I think a lot of people are confused on how our engine room is laid out. Where we're sitting right now, Blaine and I are actually facing the bow of the boat. The back of the engine room is actually the stern of the boat, the aft. So,
what is that noise?
Sorry, guys. There's something on the top of the boat right now making huge noises.
Can you hear me now, Janice?
Hi, Brent. You want to tell everybody what you've been up to this week while Blaine is trying to figure out the weird noise?
Well, on Tangaroa, we've been doing a lot of space modeling, what the major equipment and components are. Down here in Mexico, we were at a place called Isla de Partida, which is not too far from La Paz.
You coming down?
Spent a couple of days with a baby humpback learning how to spy hop and breach. That was quite fun.
That's awesome. Baby humpback, you were out there sailing with it?
Yep.
And you had everything on. And you had everything on hybrid electric, so you were quiet on it?
Oh yeah, beauty of it. They love it. They love our boat. They come right up to the hull.
Oh, that's what I'm excited. Blaine, I switched our mics to something else because we were having issues.
Oh, that might have been because I went upstairs and I was probably talking to Maggie too.
Okay, let's get on with this. So Blaine did this picture today. Blaine, you want to explain what this picture is just to show everybody?
So this is the giving you guys an idea of where the engine room is in the boat. So you can see the two boxes that I've drawn in that diagram there. The rear box would be the battery bank. in that picture and where it roughly sits. It's actually a bit lower than that boat. That's Brent.
Oh, Brent,
I was wondering what the rumbling was.
Brent, can you turn off your audio? We're getting a lot of backfeed from the wind right now.
So anyway, the forward box there is where we're tentatively mounting the generators, and they could possibly be a little bit lower than that as well. So it just gives you guys an idea of A, whereabouts in the boat fore to aft we are, and B, just how low these are in the boat. Even though they look high in the engine room, they are actually quite low. And that water line's pretty accurate on the boat as well, for where we're going to be. So yeah, it's not very high. All that CG is actually sitting pretty low in the boat.
Okay, so we have a couple things we want to talk about here, and people asked us some questions. First question is, and let me get rid of this. First question, where is the water line on the engine room? And I'm going to hold this because someone asked this, if we can show them in the engine room where the water line of the boat is.
We're going to do so.
So hold on. I am turning people around here.
Show and tell.
Show and tell.
Right here. So I've marked it with a piece of door skin, so it can give you guys a visual representation when we're working inside of the engine room where the actual water line is. And it's the top of that board as well. So if you look at the battery bank, that's basically, I'd say 1 and a bit of a row of cells that is underwater completely, based on water line. So yeah, we're pretty low. I've also, while I was marking that stuff, I put these pieces of door skin up in the front here, as well as in the back, on the back wall. And what that is that's where the top of the old Detroit diesels used to sit. So it gives you an idea of how high they were in the engine room as well. So we're not really moving the weight around by a whole lot. We may be a slight bit higher, but it's not like we're, raising the roof here. They're still pretty low.
Okay, Blaine, can you show the center of gravities that you've marked out?
Yeah, fortunately, it's really easy with the generators and batteries. The battery just below that piece of wood in the back, I've got it marked as CG3. That would be basically
You have to go over there and point it to us, please.
Oh, okay.
I can't see it with the camera.
I don't know if they're going to be able to hear me very well because you shifted the mics.
Let's go.
So that would be the center of gravity of the battery bank, which is roughly half of the battery bank. It's square, rectangular. It makes sense. And then I'll move back up here to the front. I've got a few markings here, but basically if I stack the generators off of this lower floor area, that would put the center of gravity of the top generator right about here, which is slightly above where the top of the old engines were. And then the center of gravity of the bottom generator is way down here at the bottom. And then the intermediate of those two is about right here. So that's where it would place the combined center of gravity for the whole works.
Which is about where the one was for the Detroit.
Yeah, I would imagine the Detroit probably would have been about here. The crankshaft was like here. So yeah, once again, we're not really moving the weight around a lot more than what it was from the factory.
Now, a lot of people also ask the question is, where are the e-motors going on this configuration?
Okay, so I've measured those out as well. And they're basically going to be about right. Well, I'll show you on this generator because it's already up here. If this generator gets shifted forward up to there, it'll be further outboard. The back of the motor is going to be about right here. So we'll have lots of room past the generator, and it probably will come up above the floor a little bit. So we'll have to make a little cover panel for that. But it will be clear of the generators. And just to give you guys an idea on this side, it would basically come out to right about here. So lots.
Not sure in Jen on the call. Well, if I'm feeling and you guys can understand, one one of the things that's been really proactive about this last week is been actually modeling everything in the machinery space. And I to put a shout out to everybody on the live, your feedback on your location, battery orientation, general points of practical engineering were very, very well received and impactful. In what we did. So, you're back.
Hey, Brent.
Yep.
Only get every third word from you, my dear, with your audio. Sorry. Do you understand that with me? Okay. Did everybody get the explanation of when Blaine showed it? And I'm sorry, we're having technical difficulties here. That was my fault. I pulled the cord again. Dear Blaine, please put more up for sale. But did everybody get where we showed where all the center of gravity is? Because I think I pulled the cord about a minute before.
Brent says yes. We got
Okay.
it. Perfect.
So with that, please put in your question and answers. We're going to try and sort out Brent's audio, and we're going to go right into Q&As for the rest of the 50 minutes that we have about everything. I do want to preempt you. We do not have the brands sorted out yet. When we are sorting this out, we are doing the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
So we have had lots of, what do you call it? Layouts from brands that we've been talking with, manufacturers. And we're taking the biggest layout in that. So it's worst case scenario. So depending on what brand we go, it may be a smaller layout. We may have more room.
Yep. For the most part.
Brent, how's your audio now? Do you want to chat more about that?
Oh,
He's muted. There he is.
or not.
Can you hear me now?
There we go.
It is. It's still breaking up a little bit.
Sorry about that. So for everybody in the audience, when we have an older vessel like this, that there are no real drawings or 3D work that you can do with this without a lot of effort, I've always found one of the best tools to simply grab some door skin and build 3D models of everything that you're going to put in. And that gives you a sense of perspective of what you're doing. And in the case of someone as experienced as Blaine, he's worked through, I would say on average, 4 or 5 different layouts completely every day on what was going to make him happy about how this is all going to be serviced and how it's going to lay out. And it's really important that you go through this experience when you're doing this kind of a refit, because it's easy to take what was and just translate that to what is. But if you don't ask yourself the questions of the practicality of everything and then actually put it up so you can imagine really working on the parts, you can miss things that you'll later go back and regret. And I've always found 2D doesn't work. 3D is the place to go. So reality spatialization is very important. And on a boat like Tangaroa, I think critical to get these guys to lay out they want. And Blaine has been absolutely ruthless at narrowing down his options and how he's going to have all this work. And frankly, you guys were great as well. All the suggestions that came in on this, many of them struck home completely and caused a lot of discussion that generated another layout of all the machinery and equipment. But go through this experience, and then at the end of it, now we're committed to space. Then you can finish the finite planning of plumbing and routing and wiring and channeling and everything like that. And the work will go so much faster once you're committed to what you're doing. You're not thinking through every step.
Sorry. So this is definitely a long stage, because the best way to get the perfect layout for the engine room is not to put everything in first, but to really think through this stage, which is what we've been doing, which is new for Blaine and I, because we're used to just like bull in a china shop. Let's do it. Let's put stuff in, right? So to really slow down and let's really envision the space of what we're looking for has been really an interesting process for Blaine and I, and for Brent to make us do that. Okay, questions. Let's start at the beginning, guys. We have lots of time for questions. I'm going right up to the top here. And again, so sorry about all these technical issues we've been having. Rick says, Izzy messed with your mom and dad, turn filter, made them look like mice. Izzy is not here right now. She is upstairs, but she is definitely patient 0 with this cold. It's really funny because when we were cruising up in Alaska for 6 months or up in northern British Columbia, we never got sick because we were never around people.
Nope. All
So,
isolated.
Okay. Brent, I'm going to turn you off again because of the background with the wind. Sorry. Okay. Fred says, thank you for my response to my question from last YouTube video. It was a change to some people to read valid comments people leave on YouTube. Thank you. I hope everything works out for you. We really try to respond to every comment. It's a bit overwhelming right now. So if we never responded to your comment on like Wednesday's video, I'll just going to heart them because meaning we have read them, but it gets them out of our queue. And then we try to respond when we have time to comments on the most recent video.
Yep.
But as you can see from Sunday's video that I put out, we actually grabbed your comments and answered them. And I don't think we would have come up with this layout without everybody's suggestion, which is really kind of cool to do this in real time, because I know Brent said earlier he was frustrated, and so was I. And Blaine, when you're seeing some YouTube channels doing refits and you're like, oh my gosh, you guys should do that. And you give a comment, but they're not in real time. And it was like a month ago. But I don't think we would have come up with this without your suggestions, because none of us were thinking about stacking the generators.
Nope. And we do, I mean, we say this every time, but we do read every comment, every single one. We don't always respond to them all, because right now we've got the YouTube comments coming in from one side. We have emails coming into us. We've got the Facebook comments coming in. Janice is doing school 9 hours a day, and I'm trying to get work done. So we're not going to respond to every one of them. There's just not enough hours in the day, but just keep in mind that we are reading every one, and absolutely appreciate it.
And we promise this will always be in real time. We will not get a month behind in this refit, because we're finding your comments and suggestions so valuable. Is there anything you want to say with regards to that, Brent? I've unmuted you.
Nope.
But Brent, this is your first time going through this process too, doing this in real time, right? Like having suggestions come in from a community.
Yeah, but you know, I've been so frustrated by so many of the YouTube channels that are 3 months behind their progress, and it makes the input part really challenging, and I see so many bad mistakes being made that they could have all been rectified if they were live like this. So my hat's off to you guys for the amount of work you're putting in to make this happen like this, and to the audience. I mean, we have met some so engaged people here, and there's nothing that's more fun than putting this kind of project together with people who actually love what they're doing and care about what's going on. It makes for some great conversations, and we've met so many good people through your channel in the business as well.
Yeah, we've had some people come by the boat too, which is so awesome. Okay, I'm muting you again, Brent. Sorry, babe. Tim says the boat looks very nice painted white. It's not happening, Tim. Even though Brent and I have a bet going on that it is going to be painted white within the next couple of years, Blaine and I really want to travel around the world and not maintain paint, especially since maintaining paint is usually my job. It sucks to do that. And we really like the look.
Yep.
I know Blaine wants to put a shark mouth on the bow.
But the engine room will be white.
Oh, yes. Engine room will be white. So, but there may be a shark mouth in the future too on the boat.
I gotta watch these. Okay, perfect.
Can you just turn that off?
Well, no, our brother and sister-in-law just launched their boat, and they were calling me, so I didn't want to ignore them in case it was an emergency.
Okay, you're so good. Patrick, interior design, how do we fit all the crap into the closet space we allocated for it? That's exactly it. We've got limited amount of space, and funny is it doesn't matter how much space you have, you're gonna fill it.
You never have enough.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going down to questions, everybody. Eric says that water level is why I suggested centrifugal pumps instead of impeller for better efficiency. Yeah,
unfortunately, it works well for a lot of things, like all of the air conditioning units and everything that run on boats typically would have some sort of a centrifugal pump. But as far as ABYC is concerned, they have to be self-priming pumps, regardless of where they're mounted. And centrifugal is just not self-priming. I guess technically it would be self-priming if it was underwater, but I don't know that would pass ABYC regulations.
Brent, do you
or
have
not regulations, suggestions.
Brent, do you have
As
a
long
further
as you
comment on that?
valve at the hull, you're okay.
Yep. Yep. Okay.
As long as you're what?
Valved at the hull.
Valved
Yep.
at the hull. Got
Yep.
it.
Okay. Well, there we go.
Bonita and Tillman really liked the 3D oriented. I have to agree, it helped. And a lot of you guys mentioned to do it in virtual reality. We're Gen Xers, man. I'm very physical, hands-on. Like I remember building in school the little 3D box about like your favorite book and stuff like that. Like I'm very much tactile. So doing this was actually kind of cool. What did you used to call those things? Remember
I
in a
have no idea.
shoebox, you used to build something?
That might even be before my time.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, we are very tactile. So by doing this, it was great. Virtual reality was not going to happen to us, not like sailing Uma. And I have to respect those guys that they did that, but we just didn't have the capacity. Tim, how many people can you legally carry in your boat?
Well, I mean, we can legally carry as many as we want because we're not a commercial vessel. We don't have any regulations for a lot of that. I mean, there's always Coast Guard. You have to have enough life jackets for people, that kind of thing. But there's no set regulations on, how many friends we can have over.
During COVID, we had 30 people for a reception on a wedding. My sister's wedding, she had 20 people on her boat. We had 30 on our boat to meet the COVID regulations. And then we kind of wrapped it up together and she got married. So I think 30 is the most we've had on the boat while moving.
I think that's got it covered.
Yeah. Okay, William Barry, did you see the story about the small tugboat that towed a steel pier from Oregon to Antarctic?
No. And no, I did not.
Brent, did you see that story?
No.
Sounds interesting, though. Did she pull out the cables? See, Patrick knows me well. Yes, I pulled out the cables. Bonita and Tillman, are the washer and dryer going back in, or will you have some workshop space?
Washer and dryer will be going back in, and we will still have workshop space. So basically, starboard side's going to be washer dryer, port side's going to be workshop space. That's the plan.
Mm-hmm. Brent, this question's for you. How are you doing down in Mexico? Are you safe? Are you having any issues?
Fortunately, we're in the La Paz area. No cartel activity. Everything has been steady as. No burning cars. No nothing here. Everything seems to have settled down in Mexico. Thanks for asking, though.
We worried about you.
Oh,
sorry. Sorry.
I don't know if
What'd you say?
You're splitting the room up in the machinery in the engine room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I can show that real quick. So right behind Janice here, you can see this little hangy piece of door skin. That's going to be the new wall. So basically we'll have a utility room forward that will have all of our laundry, workshop space, some of the lesser equipment. And then behind that is the rest of the engine room. So we are separating these out entirely. Another benefit of that is our pilot house is directly above this utility space. So by adding that extra wall in there, we're actually dumbing down the noise even more that's going to get to us when we're up in the pilot house navigating.
Yeah. So we're facing the bow right now. Generators and batteries behind us. Washer and dryer are going to be in this corner. We're thinking the fuel manifold will be right here on this wall. Wall of water over here. Yep. Water wall over here. And then workshop on the left.
And electrical panels on this same wall on the port side.
Over here. That's what we're thinking. But as we sit here, that was the decision about 10 minutes before the live went.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, running with wrenches. Thank you guys so much for the super sticker. We really appreciate it. And Rick's a new member. Hi, Rick. And he gave us $5. That's awesome. Diorama. That's what it's called. Yes, Rick. It's a diorama.
Perfect.
I used to make those in school. So the engine room right now is like a big diorama. I remember making Indiana Jones diorama. Did you know that term?
I remember that term now. I not have remembered it before.
Okay, hold on.
Where were you?
Right back. They want, dear Blaine, please put more up for sale.
There's lots of stuff. It may not all be useful for
Didn't we
for
put up
everyone.
a whole Ford Coyote motor that
The
he
Ford
built?
Coyote motor. Still have to put up the engines, the generator engines.
More is coming, and we'll get the Victron equipment up pretty quick
We
too.
still have the wake speed regulators, all the big 24-volt alternators.
I put the wake speed regulators up there. More is coming, we promise. Patrick, more room is always a wish that's never come true. It's always used. You're right.
Yeah.
And again, we made these dioramas bigger than the actual measurements. And some people called us out on that, where it was like a 36-inch and we did 40.
Yeah.
And that's just to, I'd rather go bigger than, that doesn't sound good, smaller.
Yeah. Yeah. Overestimate.
Yes. Can you provide us with the measurements being used? Go rip it off the wall.
Sure.
We have it.
Oh, the batteries? Yeah. I got the battery measurement.
Hold on.
Oh.
We have the battery measurements we're using. I just have it taped up to the wall.
There we go.
And I think we put it in our video. Okay. I don't know if you guys can see that. Okay. Let's just read it.
So battery configuration that we're looking at, and this is a fairly common size-ish. We're 1343 millimeters tall, and that includes the PDUs. So
Why are you doing inches?
inches. Okay, so 53 inches total with the PDUs on top.
What's a PDU?
A power distribution unit, or
Thank you.
I think that's what they call it anyway with these guys. So if you subtract those off of there, the actual batteries portion is 43 inches tall, 128 inches wide, and 36 inches deep. And that 36 inches actually includes the ventilation for the battery vents as well, because these are sealed battery boxes with ventilation for off-gassing if you have a cell failure.
Now, Brett, do you want to explain to them why we have two layouts and why one of the companies we are discussing with, again, we're not going to release names, but why they gave us two layouts and why we're able to see both? You have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Well, we've got two layouts. Remember, our first layout was this big one we had right here, and then we had the second one. Is it normal that companies give two possible layouts for battery banks?
Oh, sure. When you're dealing with this size of a battery bank, they're done by rack dimensions. So typically you're dealing with a 19-inch wide section. It can be vertically up to 72 or 78 inches. And then you can stagger them both in height and width by the racks, so that you can move them either into 2 or 3 or 4 battery banks, or you can have them all together in one space. Putting them up just means you have more racking elements. Putting them together, you have fewer racking elements. In this case, we have to look at raising batteries over the shafts, give good access to the shaft valley, or potentially lifting the whole battery up that same height to get to where we need to from a servicing point of view. But we could have split them up. We could have put them together. I just think that after all the discussion of having them in the middle of the engine room, we'll bring them on the back wall. We kind of went from the back wall to the front, to the middle, back to the middle, back to the back wall, and right now the back wall seems to look pretty good.
Okay, I'm gonna expand on that because again, Brent's mic is kind of sorry. It's not very good,
it's
Brent.
Too much wind.
It's too much wind. I know. So a lot of the issue with why we went from the back wall to the middle and then back again is the shaft logs. So
Yeah.
Blaine, do you want to explain what we have come up with regards to access to the shaft logs versus you going underwater and swimming if we're sinking, trying to get at the shaft logs?
Yeah, so the shaft logs are, I mean, they're not exactly a high maintenance item. I mean, they're typically not ever touched when the boat's in the water. We've got the PSS seals, so it's not like you have to tighten the gland nuts or anything if it starts leaking more. Usually it's a
that's a funny term, gland nuts. Sorry.
Usually it's a if you have a failure underway, that's when you need to get access to those. which is not overly common, but it can happen. So what we've decided to kind of work with is we have two options. One is to raise the entire battery bank by a foot or so.
It's 10 inches for one whole row.
One whole rack, but we're talking about raising the entire thing up. So move the whole platform underneath it up by 12 inches, which will give us access for the shaft seals, no problem. However, it does move the entire weight of the battery up by that much. The other option is to just move that group of cells. Fortunately, the way that it's laid out, we have one cell that's directly over the shaft. So we can just move that row up by one rack mount point, and we have another 10 inches that we can get underneath to access the shaft seal, which is totally possible. We've had people comment that, you're not going to want to go in there when you got water flying around because you got batteries and you don't want to short them. Well, the batteries are IP67 sealed. They're not, you're not going to be able to just spray water into them. They don't quite work that way. So we will be able to get in there and work on stuff, even if there is leaking happening in there.
Brent, I'll just let you, just hold up your hand if you want to say something as we talk, okay? Okay.
Raise your hand at the back of the room.
John says, would it be worth staggering the top generator set outboard to promote more access to the lower unit?
We could. The problem with that is then it puts it directly in the way of the batteries. So if we had to do any maintenance to a battery unit or pull one out, it would then be, there wouldn't be enough room to get that cell out of there, which is a little bit of an issue. Yeah, that's one of the problems there. Plus it kind of blocks room for other bits of equipment to put in there as well.
Now, RV Sparky, first of all, thank you so much for the pizza money. That's what I call that. RV Sparky, you're talking about air conditioning for the battery box. Is that type of AC system use water heat exchanger? Is that a system you could also use and expand and use for future air conditioning through the rest of the boat? Blessing, guys. Thank you.
I'd imagine, Brent's nodding yes, so I'd imagine they're big enough where you could potentially do that.
Well, let's go to Brent.
Let's hear from Brent.
Sure. You certainly can set up a central air conditioning core and have it ducted to the batteries whenever you want it there, or alternately ducted to other parts of the vessel, as long as you have the capacity of BTUs to manage whatever level of cold you want to introduce. It's a good idea to have the flexibility of expanding the system from that same area physically, nice to service and support it from where it would be in the machinery space and central to the boat. This boat doesn't have a lot of big volume up, a lot of windows.
Yep.
Yeah, we're a very low boat. We don't have that third floor that a lot of the big boats have right now.
Yep, and we're very narrow as well. So
the
rooms aren't quite as big as what you'd see on a boat this size typically.
So RV Sparky, thank you. Great question. Okay, and we really appreciate it.
What are you doing?
River Randy, on your battery layout, do I understand you will lift it to clear the shaft coupling?
Yes, either one group of cells or the entire bank. We're not sure yet.
Now, Cabe Fam Virginia, I don't know. I'm just guessing what your name is now. Have you thought about having a 3D scan of the space done to allow you layout in a CAD program?
We've talked about it. Just never really pulled the trigger on. I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start for finding people to do that.
Blaine's really good at CAD, but I'm thinking this diorama thing worked really well for us Gen Xers. I kind of like it, because we can walk through and see if our hips fit, or if we pretended, if you have to work on the generator, this is what you have to do. We lifted it a little bit and Blaine crawled under in case you have to do the shaft plugs. Like, it was kind of cool.
Yep.
So we like that. Hey, Tim, of course you have to do that. You can't just throw it in there and expect it to be whatever. You're right.
Yep.
Which is, we're redesigning this whole engine room. So it's just taking a little bit of time. No one can say you don't get stuff done, even if there's tweaks and changes along the way. You're right, Benita and Tillman.
Yep. It's just, it's so, when you look at the same engine room for, quite a while you're working through all of this, it feels like you're not getting enough done. I'm sure everybody would feel the same way, because it looks mostly the same every time you come in. So when we start actually pulling the trigger and getting walls in, and especially getting parts in, that's when this project's going to go from slightly monotonous work every day to really going to have a lot of fun with it.
Bradley, thank you so much for the super sticker.
Appreciate
We
it.
so appreciate it. Look at his little dude there. He's like a little camper dude. See his
Yep.
little avatar?
I see it.
Wayhart came in just in time to hear me laugh about gland nuts. Okay, that is a funny term, gland nuts. Is it GLAND, like
Yes.
gland
Yeah.
nuts, like
Yes.
together?
Yes. Packing gland nut.
Sorry, that's funny. Oh, the things I have fun with. You guys got to remember, I just did a 9-hour Zoom call with Royal Roads University, so I'm a little bit cuckoo right now.
Her brain's pretty fried.
Oh gosh, it is fried. So I'm going back to the comments. Patrick, you could always also use bed sheets over those frames to get a feel for elbow space.
You know, I actually thought about that today, doing a bed sheet across for this wall, just to lock it off to see what it looked at. I didn't pull the trigger on it yet, but that did actually cross my mind. I'm like, hey, what if I use like a tarp or a bed sheet to hang
Can
there?
you use those white tarps
Brent likes that idea too.
and not a bed sheet? Because every time you take one of the bed sheets or towels, I never get them back.
Well, you can have them back. I don't think you're going to want them back though.
That's
when
the
I'm done with it.
problem. That is the problem.
What are you doing?
Okay. Michael Darcy says, what about inverters and water maker location?
Inverters are, we're still playing with that. There is a chance that we might be using a rack mount inverter, which we could just fire back on the back rack with the batteries. It'd be nice and close to the batteries.
Don't we have room above the
Not
batteries?
far. Oh yeah, there'd be tons of room to mount other rack mount items if we needed to. What were the other things that we were?
Water maker location.
Water maker we're still playing around with. It might be something that rather than having the water maker all in one location, I might move certain parts of it to different locations to utilize space better, so it's not piled in one area, because I can separate off the high pressure pump, I can separate off the control modules, I can move the membranes to another area, and just have it in multiple locations for ease of access and better use of the space for other things, where I just don't have a big block of stuff, hanging out.
Brent, do you have any comment about where the inverters should go?
Am I live? You're gonna want the inverters between the batteries and the panel.
Yeah.
Shortest path to product, right? That's where they're going to end up being, somewhere on those corners on the forward part of that machinery. Maybe in the other room coming forward. One question I just got here quickly. Someone said, what about the venting being behind the batteries? How does that work, and being able to slide out a battery module? Most of these battery casings are what we call core cases. So the core slides into the IP66, IP67 case, vent is permanently attached to the case, and then it secures again in the gasket is still up front. So that way you can pull the battery out, keep the infrastructure in place, but still maintain the IP integrity and the ability for the battery to have it.
Perfect. Sorry, I'm controlling your mute just to let you know, in case you were confused. Desert Vet. So I have a question for you. While you're designing the engine, or have you thought about laying the batteries on their back and turn the stack of them sideways so they run bow to stern?
I don't know that is an approved mounting method for these batteries. I know that there are batteries out there that are maybe better laid out for that kind of mounting. We've seen some. Brent's agreeing there.
Well, I'm unmuting Brent because some people also asked if we could lay the batteries like on the floor and then build everything on top of them.
You can. We have done those in several types of vessels, but it is a difficult to service product because you're having to pull the weight vertically to remove the battery from its casing, instead of having to be able to pull it out onto a raised rack that you can then drop down without having to lift all the weight. So we have.
I'm assuming that makes ventilation more difficult as well.
What's that?
I'm assuming that makes ventilation a little bit more difficult as well.
Not really, no.
No? Okay.
I do want to, I made a mistake. It's Running with Wrenches that helps with our pizza fund. So Running with Wrenches, thank you. RV Sparky, thank you guys also. Every money you donate, it's going right to Operation Silent Running. So we really appreciate it. We are putting everything we earn on YouTube and through our memberships and through this straight into Operation Silent Running. So thank you very much. Eric, I've also been surprised and appreciate responses to my comments. Makes me feel like my incessant rambling is useful. Oh, Eric, we appreciate
It's
you
all
so
useful.
much.
All useful.
Yeah, we just want to make sure like we realize as YouTubers that each and every comment we make is a person that took time to sit down and write it. And we really appreciate all your suggestions, and we read every comment. We take them all to heart. So please make suggestions. We appreciate it. We're building kind of a really cool community. And I think or at least I'm feeling that Operation Silent Running is a community built. This isn't just Blaine and I doing this. Like this is all of us together.
No, there's been a few things that people have commented on that we've run with.
Yeah, to be a bit cheesy. Yeah. And I'm not a cheesy person. Huh?
Huh? Huh? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Desert Vet, then putting the generators on top of them on tracks. Do you slide them to gain access to batteries?
Oh, I think it means when they're laying down, maybe like on the bottom. I'm not sure.
I missed it. Sorry.
For where it is now, it would be challenging to put generators up on top of the batteries. It wouldn't leave, I think, much of any space. I don't even think they'd fit on top of the batteries currently. No. But if the batteries were laid down on the ground, I suppose you could put generators on top. Yeah. But that's going to raise the floor by a not insignificant amount as well, which is going to start cutting into headroom.
I kind of want to show off the batteries. So we're going to have the wall of power. What's really cool is if you go into Karma, and I don't know if I've put up a video, or if you go onto Project Karma on Facebook, Brent's batteries are actually on the roof, which is kind of cool because he had a smaller engine room. And you can unmute yourself, Brent, and talk about how you had to lay out and why your batteries are on the roof in your engine room.
It just came down to all the things you guys have talked about in this video about keeping the weight centered where we could, ease of location. The batteries require virtually no service, so they don't need to be easily accessible. I wouldn't do, I've seen a lot of comments about sliding racks on generators and racks on top of batteries and stuff. And guys, I would tell you comfortably that that's where you're getting a little too fancy for what you're doing. You want to keep the infrastructure part of it completely consistent with as little work as possible and as little risk of a generator sliding off of a track or on top of a battery, or any effective negative that you had can affect so many things. So try and keep them isolated. And you always have to keep in mind these generators need to be fully accessible from three sides and the top all the time. The generator side is the only part that you can literally wire up and leave where it is. But all the other three sides and the top have to be fully serviceable all the time. And I know from being in really crap weather with failing engines and generators that the last thing you want to be doing is working about sliding something around if you have to move it and you're going through 7-meter seas with 40 knots of wind outside. So you want to know that the infrastructure is all super solid and overbuilt. And then everything just attaches in a way that you don't have to worry about dealing with any of those kind of issues. That's just my opinion. But I like keeping the infrastructure real simple, stupid.
Yeah, no, we're the same opinion. I couldn't even imagine being in big seas and having a huge battery bank, even just the different rows of them, columns sliding around on racks. That would scare the heck out of me. We've had enough with our fridge flying around and stuff like that. Like things go flying.
Yep. And it's, for me as well, like, don't get me wrong, I would love to have the generators all on the same level, separated out where I can access them. It's just, we haven't found a way that we can do that and have all the access that I want without stacking them. We have a lot of space, just not enough for that.
And Empire Ariel made a good point. Ariel, this is funny because his point is make sure we use the space above, right? It's not just floor space with square feet. We have cubic feet to work with. So very good point. Thank you very much for making that. Fabrizio just gave us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Fabrizio. We really appreciate each and every one of you. So I'm popping back up here. So Adam says, just caught up on your videos. There's a lot of videos, Adam. Is it possible to use sliding drawer type setup for generators? Yeah, we talked about that just now. So we kind of answered your question. And with the fuel lines being flexible and stuff, I think we're just going to keep everything in place because we are going into high latitudes. Like we are crossing, this is the plan, guys. We are crossing from the Aleutian Islands this summer across to Japan. Like that is some serious water. So we kind of want everything
locked down.
Yeah.
And you got to keep in mind too, another big issue is exhaust. What do you do with exhaust when you're sliding a generator around? You know, a lot of our exhaust is going to be a semi-dry exhaust where it comes out of the generator, because I always run my exhaust as high as possible in the engine room before I dump water in. So it'd be all the way up to the roof, across, and I wouldn't put the water in until it's heading back down again. That eliminates a lot of possibility of ingestion of water that you see in wet elbows and stuff in boats, because you could, if you inject the water after that drop off on the other side, it doesn't matter if something rots out, you're not going to get it back to the engine. So that's a big push for me.
Adam has a nice car avatar. Look at that.
It does.
What is it?
I don't know. I can't see that well.
Sorry, Adam.
I don't
We're
have my
looking at your
glasses.
avatar. It's over there. It's underneath there.
It almost looks Pantera-ish.
It kind of looks Pantera-ish, but I don't think it is.
I don't think so.
Tim spoke. This is a walk in the park for these two. He thinks this is a walk in the park.
We can get it done.
We can fake it till you make it look easy.
Yeah.
Easier access for maintenance. Yes, that's exactly what Brent says. We want to make sure where we put everything is easy access for maintenance. Yep, watching something that is done. This is about the YouTube videos Patrick is commenting on.
Mm-hmm.
Watching something that is done but not done is very frustrating, because you know you could comment a fixed idea, but also know they're long past that by now.
Yeah.
That's true. I am putting timestamps on our videos, and you guys can see that we are a day behind. Like, I have no clue what footage is going to come out on Friday because Blaine hasn't done anything yet for me to put out on Friday.
Low blow.
Well, that's true. Like, Friday's video won't be, it'll be your work on Thursday.
Yeah.
Right.
The Monday videos are Mondays. Which is the first video after? Wednesday videos?
Monday's live. Wednesday's the first video. So that usually includes Saturdays. That usually includes Sunday, Monday, Tuesday work. Wednesday's video includes all that. Friday's video is Thursday's work and Wednesday's work. Sunday's video is Saturday's work and Friday's work.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, on like the Wednesdays, it's the work is not as much, because sometimes we have to take some time off on the weekends.
Yeah.
So it shows in the videos.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Like 1, 2, 3, less 1, 2, 3 says. And I'm not bashing any YouTube. It is really hard to do videos in real time. So we're not bashing any other YouTube channels. Like, this is not easy to do. But when people encourage and ask for comments, but it's way past, like, your comment is useless to them, right?
Yep.
So we really want to make sure that you guys know we are hearing you, we are listening to you, and we are implementing a lot of these suggestions. Foil chrome. I don't know. Were we talking about foil chrome?
Maybe.
Sorry, I missed it. Sorry, Tim. Eric Dunn. Enjoy doing the research about the history of the radio beacon after watching the travel video Sunday.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what?
a pretty cool one.
You know what's really funny, Eric, is a lot of people don't know we have 2 channels. So we have a refit channel, which is this one, the Never Ending Sea Trial, that we're going live on. But we also have Onboard Tongaroa Exploring the World channel. And those videos are actually still going our travels up the northern British Columbia coast. And we go to a lot of abandoned places and historical places that we find that we want to go explore. And this past video was on Thelda Bay, which was an old World War II radio tower and the radio outpost. And it was really cool because there is a house there that was ran by caretakers that were going to turn it into a fishing lodge. And tragically, they had to leave, or they just left, and everything was left there. Blaine even found a Tandy computer.
That was wild.
Yes. So I'm glad you had fun, Eric, doing the research. So did we. Like, it was just an awesome place to explore.
I wish we could have walked up to the actual radio station on the other island. That would have been.
My gosh, you would have been so tired of macheting bush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That didn't sound very good
No,
either,
it
did
didn't.
it? Sorry.
No.
Patrick, anodized the whole boat. Hey, we had a discussion yesterday about anodizing and aluminum anodes.
Oh, yes.
Go.
That's
Someone
different.
asked us. Someone says you have to
Oh.
get rid of your zinc anodes and put on aluminum.
Yep. Yeah, I guess Gone with the Winds did a big video on that here recently. And there's companies that are making certain alloys of aluminum that they're using for zincs, and apparently they're quite effective. I had never really thought of it because my thought with everything is that, you know, the nobility chart, you have to have some difference there to make them functional. But apparently these aluminum anodes actually work. So we have a long time before we have to do ours, but be curious. Yeah.
But we also have had zinc anodes on, and our zinc anodes have lasted 5 years. So, Brent, what do you think about putting aluminum anodes on aluminum boats?
Got to be careful. I'd want to know the quality of the metal that was on the hull before I used an aluminum anode. That's all.
That's a good point.
They just need to be
We
far
will.
enough.
Sorry, pardon?
They need to be far enough apart on the metallurgic scale for the aluminum anode to be sacrificial.
That's what we were thinking too. And the aluminum anodes, a lot of the boats put them on aluminum boats in freshwater and brackish water, and those zinc anodes on aluminum boats in saltwater. Almost everybody around here, there's a lot of aluminum boats where we are right now, are all zinc anodes, all the fishing boats and stuff like that.
I think they were saying with these anodes, they I think said something about mixing with indium or something to get the level down. I'll have to do some more looking.
I wonder what the
into
cost is.
Who knows?
Guys, the Gone with the Winds did put out a video also about stray current, and we did read a lot of comments to watch about that. We are addressing stray current. I did answer a lot of the comments that Brent is very cognizant of stray current, and we will put out a video. We have had no issues with stray current with our, how big is our battery bank right now?
30 kilowatt hour.
With our 30 kilowatt hour battery bank that we've had over 5 years. We've had no issues with stray current.
Nope.
And I think that battery bank is bigger than what the Gone with the Winds has had or what they currently have.
Yep. And we do have isolation transformers as well, which goes a long way when you're plugging in shore power.
Yeah, we will do a whole video on it. What do you think, Brent? A whole video on stray current?
Yep, big topic with electric boat.
Yeah, definitely. But that will come at a later date, guys, once we get everything installed. Promise. Okay, Janelle says, hi, Tim's, Sailors Pack Light. Peter, hi, Peter. Happy Monday. Hope all is well. If you're ever back in Brentwood, please let me know. We'll offer free. Oh, we like free services, Peter. Mechanical and electrical. Hope you're doing great out there. Stay safe and stay happy.
Thanks, Peter.
Thanks. We do miss Brentwood Bay. We absolutely love that area. Desert, put the batteries back to back with the terminals facing the opposite direction, port and starboard, then put the 4 generators on top of the batteries. Think about that. I'm visualizing here.
Didn't mock that up. No, the only, if we did that.
Generators, though, if you did that, like you'd have no way to service the inside faces of the generators.
Yeah, I mean, if you did, you'd run into a few issues. One, if you put them back to back, you'd completely block off my Blackwater tank access, which I need for maintenance. And then if you spread them out to give access for that, you'd block the shaft logs. And if you pushed out past that, I think you'd still be into the shaft logs because the batteries are quite deep compared to the generators. I don't know if that would be an ideal layout.
I like the way he's thinking, though. I like the outside of the box thinking there, Desert Vet. So thank you very much. It's suggestions like that.
The beauty of door skin, guys, is it takes 10 minutes to try it. That's the benefit of
Not with us.
Maybe 30 minutes for us.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 for Brent.
Yeah, no, it takes a little bit longer and a few discussions, husband and wife.
Yeah, husbandly and wifely discussions.
Yes.
Calm discussions.
Sorry, guys, I'm going to pop through. See, Aurora. You wouldn't recognize you if we painted it white. Yes. Everybody, Rick says use Nyalic, lasts longer. You know what? Probably not in this boatyard, but we are looking at it right now. She's nicely oxidized.
Yeah, maybe in the future.
I know. Running with the wrenches. I watched the whole engine room layout series. I think stacking the generators is a great solution, and putting the batteries another 12 inches up above the floor to give access to the shaft alleys and bilge.
Yep.
I agree. I think that's where we're going.
Yeah,
Lee wants to know if you can talk a little bit about the dynamics of doing this project in real time versus the needs of family relationships. I have a similar situation with the current remodeling of a Grand Banks. Are you doing it in real time on video? So I do all the editing. Izzy does the videoing. I think the hardest part right now is me saying, Blaine, you have to go do something so I can video, because we are at a thought process stage. And there's not really anything to video with Blaine sitting in the engine room just looking around, contemplating, because that's seriously what he's doing for hours.
And actually, some people brought this up in the comments as well. Analysis paralysis. There's so many things that we have going on, and trying to figure them all out and make it all work well is challenging. And to be able to push through and get to the point where you're doing the doing rather than the thinking.
Yeah, and some things just aren't interesting, and we can't put them on YouTube. We've had a couple of phone calls with possible suppliers, and we do a debrief of them, and we actually put them up in our membership for our members for Blaine's debrief on the call, so they know a lot more about what's going on with regards to that. But it's just not interesting for YouTube. We wouldn't get the views. I hate to say it, so we really have to be cognizant of that also. Blaine is getting very good at recording a story for me, so it makes editing a lot easier. But family relationships, I think with our relationship, it's a bit differently because we met working together on boats, and we did that for 5 years, living together and working together on boats, that it was almost a real adjustment for us to move to shore and kind of be apart and working separate jobs. I was almost lonely. So for us to come back and work on boats and live together constantly, this is our norm, and we actually enjoy working together and bouncing ideas off each other. Like, everybody's like, oh, it's boat work, but it's actually fun.
It is. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, there are times where we're both annoyed, and it's and it is known to the both of us. But I mean, that's going to happen. You just have to push through it, and at the end of the day, as long as you say "I love you" when you go to bed.
You don't say that.
I do too, every night.
I can't see, John, we're back to the VR. I can't imagine Janice walking around a VR headset on. Oh my gosh, you know how much I would hit?
She can barely walk around without one on the boat without hurting herself.
I know. Sorry, I'm popping through a lot of these comments, guys. We are reading them all, but I'm just heading to the things, because as you can hear, my voice is getting sexier. I'm going to be like, so what's your pleasure? Anyways, we're not going there.
No.
Eric says, "Oh, sorry, what?"
Glands nuts.
I'll add this yet again. Heat pump, water heater, and heat storage battery for DHW and boat heating. Use excess PV power to heat water as well.
Yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. There's one from Tim there as well.
Do you have an old 427 FE laying around?
I do not. No. Sorry.
What is that?
That's an engine.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't have any of those.
We got a nice Coyote.
I got a really nice 412 cubic inch aluminum dry sump Windsor. No, that's a different one.
Coyote.
That's the old one. The Coyote is the newest one.
Empire, if you switch out your Helm software for OpenCPN, you can network your entire boat to the Helm for monitoring integration. Don't we do that already with Time Zero?
We do it for a lot of it.
Yeah.
We use Time Zero exclusively, and we've been working with them for years, and I can't see myself ever switching. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it, and it's been great for everything we've had to do, and I love the fact that it integrates in with all my Furuno stuff. So yeah, to do anything else would be a pretty hard sell for me.
Peter wants to know where the motors are going to be. I think he was late to the discussion. Where are the motors going to be again? Motors?
Well, I'm not letting you handle the camera again because you'll unplug it. So
I know. We're just going to just stand up.
They're back there.
I can see you. They're between the generators and the battery bank.
Yeah. They'll be sandwiched right between the two.
Half in the bilge, half not.
Yeah. There'll probably be some humped up covers over the top of them. I'll have to make them visible as well, so we'll have to figure that out where they look pretty.
Brent answered that question already from Chuck about
the slides,
the venting behind the battery and how that works and being able to slide out a battery module.
Yeah.
Guy we were going to give you shit because we knew you were late.
Yep.
And we're like, where is
That
Guy
was
from
the
Arizona?
First thing that we noticed when
We were like,
when
where
we
is
went
that
live.
guy? He is usually here. You're so much trouble. Gen X, really puppies. Well, you're a boomer, aren't you? I can see this. Boomer is a good thing in our books. Fabrizio wants to know, when they manufacture the batteries, will they include piping connects for option of liquid cooling? Let's give that one to Brent.
Typically, if they're
Brent?
designed for liquid cooling, they will have liquid cooling. If they're not, they will not be piped to add optional liquid cooling. It's a very different structural design all the way around.
That makes
Perfect.
sense. RV Sparky has a brilliant idea. I'm going to the dollar store and getting you some cheap shower curtains.
There we go. Yep, that would work perfect.
See? Brilliant idea. $2.99 at the dollar
A
store.
man and his dog totally got the answer.
Yep.
I know. Thank you, RV Sparky. When we talked about this, with the enormous amount of electricity going to be stored on the boat, are you worried about the parasitic current? We are going to do a whole video on that.
Yeah, you just have to be very, very, very cognizant of all connections and make sure that you don't have faults in isolation.
I like the term parasitic versus stray.
Well, it wouldn't be necessarily parasitic, because I guess could be.
It's like eats.
Yeah, I don't know if that's quite what I don't know.
I don't know.
We got the gist of it. Where are we at?
Okay, Empire Aerial. He's saying, sorry, Brent, he's saying you should get, is it ours that are giving feedback, Empire Area, or is it Brent's that's audio's giving feedback? If we should have headphones, give us some feedback about that. So, sorry, I'm popping through here. Bonita, you know what, Bonita? We're doing a wonderful job of building community. I don't think we would have had a community without all of you guys. This has just been developing, and it's
True story.
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing.
And all the people that we've met in person, like we've met Benita as well and Tillman, and they're awesome. And that's kind of been the story with everyone that we've met. All of you guys have been lovely people, and we've really enjoyed meeting you all.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Lots of hugs.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly says we should get Winston 10,000 LifePo batteries, 10,000 amp hour.
I think 10,000 cycles is what he's referring to.
Oh, can you tell us a bit more about those, Brent? Do you know about them?
The Winston cells are pretty popular in the DIY community with building batteries, and they've been around for quite a long time. I think I saw them back in 2008, 2009. They're not commonly used in the marine industry with type-approved battery structures. So we don't see them so much in the marine is a very niche industry, and it's very expensive to have your product certified in that space. And I'm not sure if any of the actual battery manufacturers who are type approved are using Winston cells right now. No slant on Winston cells. I think they've been a huge boon to the DIY community, but I don't know them being used in too many commercial solutions.
I think that's the difference. Is this isn't a DIY build that we're doing. Blaine's got the experience from working on yachts. Brent is a battery manufacturer himself, and he was the founder of Corvus. If you ever want to Google Brent Perry, he's got quite the resume. I'll do a little bit of bragging about you, Brent. And so we are actually working with Osea Boats with their guidance. So yes, Blaine is helping out, but he has the experience. So it's not really it's not a DIY project. We are actually taking a commercial system and putting it in a smaller boat to show what can be done. I don't know if you want to expand on that, Brent?
Nope, that was a pretty good summary.
Perfect. It's just trying to get away from that DIY thing and not slagging the DIYers. Good on them. But this build is, I wouldn't consider it a DIY.
Different level of risk threshold.
Yes. Mm-hmm. CA Proven says many suggestions seem not to consider that while the components may be fixed in the boat, they in the boat will be in nearly constant motion. You're right. This
Truth.
boat, she moves around.
And
So-
sometimes violent motion.
It's been a couple times I've had bocconcini balls floating back and forth across the main salon, and I look at her going, oh, well,
There goes the
there
refrigerator.
goes the fridge again. Bocconcini balls and mini tomatoes, cherry tomatoes flying around.
Usually mixed in with some glass as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's race through them. I'm going to pop to the bottom here. Peter Forto, with regards to boat insurance, that's going to be the last question we're going to answer on this, guys, because of the voice. Mike Ross, will you be keeping a few spare cells on board? I don't know what you did to fix the echo on Brent, but thank you. Brent moved, I think. That's why we got rid of his echo.
Yeah.
So are we having a spare cells?
Unlikely to have spare cells, no. No, these are assembled batteries, and they are swapped out by the module, not by the cell.
The challenge with that, Mike, is simply that when you do a cell swap or a battery swap in a system that's already been operating, you have to match the voltage of the new battery or the replacement cells, or however you want to consider it, specifically within the battery that's on board, or they will go into balancing mode, and it can take 2 or 3 weeks for an out of balance battery to become balanced with the rest of the system. So typically it's easier to have an independent battery come in from a service perspective already set within the parameters of the voltage of the battery, so that you know you're going to be at nominal current or 80% state of charge or whatever number it happens to be before it gets there, and then it balances the whole system much faster. Keeping spare cells on board, opening up the batteries and changing them, not going to happen, and shouldn't happen, to be honest. It's not safe. But a spare module, we've done that in the past. It's never proven to be a great idea, because quite often we'll update the software and the firmware of the battery bank. And if the spare battery isn't updated independently, then it's also out of alignment from a software management point of view when you put it in, and that can cause a little bit of chaos too.
Perfect. Nicholas, I read your comment. Drop me an email about that. Crew, CREW, at onboardtongaroa.com. Please drop me an email and we'll sort you out for sure. Okay, Chuck, mounting the batteries to slide in vertically won't be an issue if you own a gantry.
It's true, but the batteries themselves are not configured to be run in that way. I mean, these things, the ones we're dealing with currently looking at are 30 something inches deep, and we just don't have the layout to be able to put that vertically to drop down into that section. Yeah, you'd have to have batteries specifically designed for that orientation.
Fabrizio says we need some mounts across to the aluminum ribbing to top of the battery banks for more stability and pitching seas.
Oh yes, yeah. There'll be lots of everything. We'll have bolts to the back wall. We'll have fasteners up to the gantry system up top, because that'll be areas where we won't be using the gantry, so we can actually lock all that in to those beams there as well. So yes, it is going to be heavily fastened, as will the generators.
Adam Anstar, that's a Mustang. Hey, we have a Ford Coyote engine that would do sweet in there. Would it go well in there?
Oh, I think a Coyote engine would go well in a lot of things.
I know. How much horsepower would you probably get him?
I'd imagine that engine's probably in the 550 horsepower range.
Let's chat at. No.
Would be my guess.
If Adam has a wife, she's going to be like, no.
No, can't have.
Tim, you should build solid frames to rubber mount your diesel generators to.
Yeah, so with that, and this is going to take some thinking, because those generators are going to be high. They're going to come pretty close to the ceiling up there. I think we're going to have like 8 to 10 inches worth of space for service, but we will have to attach them up to the ceiling like the batteries to the gantry beams. But we also have to keep in mind that those things are going to be vibrating. So we have to very carefully figure out how we're going to physically mount them. So usually on a generator setup, especially on an aluminum boat, you've got a double isolated mount. So you have a base with isolators under it, and then your generator is mounted to that with isolators on it, just to keep the vibration down to a bare minimum, because aluminum is terrible for transmitting vibration. So what we're going to have to figure out is how we can do that with the generators stacked up, where we can mitigate as much of that as possible. Because now, rather than just being attached on the bottom to the stringers on the boat, we're going to have mechanical link to our floor as well. So that vibration is going to want to go that way too. So it's going to require some pretty careful thought to keep that as quiet and smooth as we can get it.
Hey, Brent, if you're listening, I got a great question for you from Steve. Does the BMS prevent a thermal runaway situation, or is it more on the quality of the batteries?
The BMS will absolutely kick in to prevent or manage the potential of a thermal runaway. Thermal runaway is a chemical reaction within the cells. So you can set your parameters for charge and discharge and management and balancing, and you can do a lot to keep the batteries in a position where they're not going to put themselves in a position where they're going to go into thermal runaway. But the simple truth is, if there's a chemical flaw in the cells that would induce a thermal runaway over time, or if you use the cells out of their performance characteristics, which is quite common in the marine industry, you can induce the chemical reaction that will end up, and it may take several months for the batteries to go into thermal runaway. And once the chemistry, then the BMS can really only kind of give you a heads up. So you program the BMS to manage performance within the cell's per actual characteristics, and that's the best security you can have to prevent thermal runaway. But in a true thermal runaway event, unfortunately, no software in the planet. It's a very good firefighter.
Good answer.
It's a good answer. And Blaine, this one's yours. Dale says, with expected run hours on the generators, service requirements will be high. Are you thinking of installing a central air oil drain or pump system, enough space in hull for new and old oil tanks?
That's always something that we could do. I have had that in the past on bigger yachts that we've worked on, where we've had waste oil tanks and fresh oil tanks. It is certainly possible. That being said, the run hours will actually be less than what we would have currently for generator run times, as well as engine run times combined. You got to think, for generators, like if we're not moving, these generators are going to be started like once every 10 days, possibly more on how we run our power.
It's because we have solar. Solar is filling the batteries.
Solar, and we have a 400 kilowatt hour battery bank.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of runtime there. And I mean, if we're wanting to charge fast, we'll be starting all 4 generators, but they're only going to run at like 2 to 3 hours every 10 days, which, compared to a typical system with a regular generator, you're going to be running every, I think at the best, probably 2 days on most boats. So we're actually cutting the runtime there. And the same with when we're underway. The generators are not always running like what you'd have an engine running. So it's actually the opposite. We're going to be having less runtime. And not only that, when we're underway, we can rotate the generators. So we don't always run on one generator whenever we need one to run. That will stagger between the generators. So by the time you get to, say, 400 hours on service for an engine, that's 1,600 hours worth of actual runtime, because you're balancing that between 4 generators, if that makes sense.
I think so. Sometimes you don't make sense, but that one made sense.
Yep.
Steve, thank you for the comment about my editing. I'm learning. I'm trying. The audio is the hardest part on the editing. DJ Eddie says, I like the idea of putting the day tanks between the ribs under the floor. Imagine that, using empty space. All you need is to be sure you have appropriate lifting pumps.
Yep. And most all the new diesel engines these days do come with lift pumps.
I'm going to interrupt, though. There was a comment someone made that the whole purpose of day tanks is to have them higher than the engines, so that if everything conks out, you can still have diesel come in.
Gravity feed. Well,
yeah.
The problem with that, though, is we have 4 generators, and each one has got its own lift pump. So the redundancy on that is pretty high. And some generators will even use mechanical lift pumps. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to end up with. So even if you had an electrical failure, you'd still be able to get fuel to the generator.
Yeah. Brad's getting off topic. Yes, you are getting off topic, Brad, but that's okay. We still love you for it. Are you all going to have backup screws? Hey, you
Unlikely.
mentioned something about a get home pump.
Well, that's a different one. That's not
Oh.
backup propellers. That's
someone
an
stole
actual
those.
that's an actual hydraulic get home system. You know, the chances of us going with a different propeller in the future is probably pretty high. And if we ever do go with a different propeller in the future, we can certainly keep our existing ones that we have now as backups for that. So theoretically, yes. When that's going to happen, we're not sure.
William says exploring the world is a good channel. Thanks, William.
Thanks.
This week's video is going to be fun. It's extreme beachcombing. Blaine and I actually take Punga, our dinghy, out to the outside islands. It gets a little bit crazy, but we found some really cool Japanese garbage that floated in. So you have to check that out. It's called extreme beachcombing. Cool. And I guess it's a whole sport, extreme beachcombing. It's going to beaches that no one ever gets to. You actually have to really hike or boat or anything to get to these beaches that no one goes to. So we find some really cool stuff.
And sadly, there is a lot of garbage on beaches like that.
So much. That guy from Arizona, I had a 994A in the beginning.
I'm assuming that's a Porsche 994?
Could be. Or a Pantera? No.
The Porsche.
Frank, if you like to get soon back in the water, you need to decide what you'll install. It can take a month to get what you need.
Oh, it can take more than a month.
Brent, do you want to talk about lead time? Not mention the companies we're chatting to, but just talk about lead time and what we're planning.
Never enough lead time. We've fast-tracked everything for this project, and that's actually been part of the criteria of selection as we get to the stage. And within a few days, we have to pretty much decide all the major components in order to have them in place for the delivery of the vessel.
I think our deadline.
Don't say it.
Okay, I'm not saying it.
It's sometime in the future.
There is not enough wood on your boat to hit your head against after you say that out loud.
I will not say it out loud. It's like in policing. You never go to work and say, oh, it's been quiet, because the shit just hits the fan then.
Full moon tonight. You know what that'll do to people?
Oh,
I know.
You know what? When I was a police officer, I actually always booked the full moons off. And Halloween, because my gosh, the crazies came out in full moon. Like, it was just insane. Ethelda was a marine navigation radio beacon. Thank you, Eric. It was just a cool place. Vintage guy, will you have an emergency battery disconnect? Forgive me if this has already been asked. Just logged in because you were late.
Yes, yeah. There's probably a few options there, and Brent could chime in on this as well, but I'm assuming that we're probably going to have some sort of an emergency disconnect in the pilot house, like a master battery stop now button. And then there will also be switches on the battery banks themselves that we can turn off.
That's correct. Each bank will have its own emergency disconnect.
Lester, I'm sorry, my comments about the day's videos are posted. We always post PST. However, next weekend, British Columbia is going into PDT in daytime.
Just to make it more confusing.
And we're never getting out of it. British Columbia is changing to daytime savings and will never go back. So next week, we're going to move an hour ahead. It is 18 hours right now. So it is 6:18 p.m. PST. Our videos go out Wednesdays at 11:15. Fridays at 11:15 and Sundays at 7:15. Now, there will not be a Wednesday video this week. I'm sorry, I just don't have the capacity. I am in virtual residency at university right now, Royal Roads. And
she's sick.
And Blaine has just been sitting in the engine room looking at things. So you don't want a half-hour video of him drinking a beer, looking and imagining.
Well, yeah. Haven't been a lot of drinking beer in the work times. But.
So yeah, so that's what's happening. But those are our schedules. I think I've got it out on our YouTube header on when it is. CA proven. Did you get a closer approximation on the battery and generator, housed or bare, for mock-up purposes? The GenBox mock-ups are about a foot each too long, if memory serves. You're right. We made them almost a foot long.
I can't remember exactly. I'll have to measure them up, but we're, like we said before, we're kind of aiming big. Right now,
Worst case scenario is what we said.
I think we're kind of leaning toward the enclosed generators. There's a couple of promising options where, unfortunately, some of the generator suppliers are kind of narrowing the options on their own because they can't supply in time. We've had a couple of that have straight up told us that we can't make it in that timeline. So they've kind of eliminated themselves, and they're okay with that. Some of them are not interested in the project at all, so they've eliminated themselves. So we're kind of working toward a select few at this point. And right now, it is looking like an enclosed generator might be a good possibility. So we'll see.
Robert says, how about sharing the room dimensions with a 3D scan and allowing viewers to mock up some designs? You will need to provide product dimensions. You know what? That was a great idea if we were going to be out of the water for a year and a half, 2 years. We do have to make some decisions too. And that's the hard part, is we have to try and do what's best for this. And you know what? Hindsight's always going to be 2020. We would love to get all your suggestions and layout ideas. We're just running into a time.
You know,
so
I have to say though, that's a pretty cool idea.
I would love to do that. And maybe we'll do that
awesome
in the future, because we do have to redesign our whole main salon. So if you guys are interior decorators, I know that may be coming up. So that is a really good idea when we have to redesign the main salon.
Other stuffs.
Okay, we're just coming down to that insurance question was going to be the last one today. Eric, if you need to change props after installing the electric drive, would auto pitch props be an advantage with electric motors? Brent?
That's a good question. To be honest, I don't think I have a good answer for you right now. The auto pitch props, when it comes to being able to spin them for regeneration on a sailboat, I would make a more feasible argument for that. On a powerboat, that's a good question, and I will actually take that aside and come back with a rational answer for you, A, B, or C.
I like it.
Just judging on typical folding or moving propellers that, from my background, is there's typically always an efficiency penalty on something like that, because they can't make a perfectly shaped blade and design it for multiple different operational angles. So from what I understand, you can, but you will take a small efficiency hit on that.
Yeah.
Diesel and Family says, hi there, I sent a message before and forgot to check back. Have you considered using Starboard for your flooring? We use Starboard quite a bit on this boat to separate out dissimilar metals.
Yep, and the problem is with Starboard and a thickness that we would need, it would be crazy expensive to do all flooring in that. Not only that, it can, when you're dealing with more open areas, constantly walking on it, it can sag over time versus something that's, like a rigid honeycomb or fiberglass product.
We do have some Coosa samples coming from a local wholesaler on Vancouver Island. We should have these next week. Coosa, C-O-O-S-A.
Yep.
You guys can search that stuff out. But we don't know what we're doing with the floors yet. The walls, we're putting up the plywood over top of the insulation, and we have made the decision about insulation with regards to cork and rock wool. There's going to be no spray insulation in this boat. Sorry, guys. Great suggestions, but we're just not going to spray. And then plywood's going to go over top. And then we're looking at, I never remember this word, the bathroom stuff.
Formica.
Formica, right, Brent? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, it's a high gloss white, very shiny Formica.
And then we're still talking about the ceiling. That's still up in the air. We haven't totally made the decision about that too, but just imagine everything bright white. You are still going to have to wash your hands.
Mm-hmm. Fortunate thing about nice glossy Formica, it's really easy to clean.
RJ, while you're doing the rebuild, this would be a good time to add fore and aft thrusters in the mix. Why do we want to? You guys all want us to have thrusters. Do you think our docking is horrible? I don't understand.
Yeah. No, I
We don't
mean,
need them.
it's funny.
We
People
don't
mention
want
it.
them.
People mention it all the time.
We don't
but,
like going to a dock.
But honestly, I've never had a moment in my life where I thought after docking, oh, that would have gone so much better if I had a thruster. It's just, it's a pleasure thing, I guess. But I mean, it's a lot of money for something that I can do without.
Yeah, we just, as soon as we get that aft spring line on, we're golden. So maybe when we hit like 75, 80, we'll think about it. Because
Yeah.
I'm not a spry then. I can't jump.
You have a hard time with jumping now.
I have fallen and knocked myself out on the dock before, but that's
Pretty close to
another
it.
story. Okay, Mike, could you stack the batteries higher on the center line like a pyramid? Oh, someone mentioned the pyramid, and
Yep.
get them off the shafts. The space over the shafts would make good temp storage also.
Unfortunately, we don't have the ceiling space to be able to bring them in enough to stack them high enough to clear the shafts. The shafts are like a cell and a half inboard of the outer edge of the battery bank. Really, the only way that you'd be able to do it and keep it clear would be to separate the bank into 3 different modules, which would add some headache with that as well. So right now, it's the best thought that we've come up with is just to lift them up a little bit higher.
Again, like someone mentioned here, the last video from Gone with the Winds was about stray current. There is a new device that monitors and alerts when there is a stray current.
Yep, I could see that.
Yeah.
It's the fortunate thing with this boat is, for starters, I can see all the wiring. Everything is accessible. It's very easy for me to monitor that stuff. It's all fairly new wiring as well. So we're putting in new wire when we're running back to the back as well. So yeah, it's a lot easier to stay on top of that when you're putting it in.
Blaine, we'll have to make note of this because a lot of people are commenting that what was happening before was Brent's audio was playing through our speakers and our
gotcha.
mics were picking it up, causing a feedback loop.
Can't have the
and we
feedback
fixed
loop.
it, but we don't know how we fixed it.
Okay, perfect.
I'm glad it's fixed, but I'm not sure how. But we will definitely address that. Guys, we love to have audio feedback, let it or not. We like your feedback about our audio because if it's crap, we want to know so we can fix it.
Yep.
Okay, because I hate listening to videos with horrible audio. And then the last question we talked about, I'm sorry, everybody else. But again, we're losing our voice. And we already went half over longer than we said we would. Peter, how will this change affect your boat insurance?
Well, I'll start with that. Currently with our insurance, the only thing that we're able to get is liability insurance. The insurance companies get really testy when you tell them that you're going to be taking a 1969 boat and crossing oceans with it. There's not a lot of people that are super keen on insuring vessels like that. And then once we're doing all of the work, if anything, I would say that would probably help our cause because it's basically going to make everything in the engine room brand new and probably safer than it's ever been. But I know Brent's been looking into a lot of this as well. So he might have some more insight on this than we do.
Brent?
Yeah, that's again when we talked about going with commercially validated marine approved systems. That's a big step to being able to have insurable vessel because there's a lot of commercial vessels that have been already commercially insured using the same technology. So it's a recreational market that they typically would insure in, but there will be commercial channels that would support a vessel like Tangaroa because of the quality of the equipment and the validated third-party method of testing it, so that the risk of operational failure or fire is significantly less and managed by the design of the system as much as possible. So we actually have engaged with a few insurance companies now about Tangaroa as a project. And it is something that once we have finalized the machinery and equipment selection, we'll go into what I call a bartering phase with the insurance companies about offering in a bit of a unicorn policy structure to start with, but I think it is the template for what will be available to vessels like this in the recreational market space. We could go full-on commercial insurance on the vessel. Blaine would have to become a captain, or Janice would have to become a captain, or they'd both have to become captains. and they would have to operate the vessel with different level of safety gear and process management on board than they currently have. But it's doable. It's another hoop to hop through for sure during the project.
Yeah, but we are definitely considering that, and that's the benefits of working with OSEA boats, is that this isn't a DIY. If this was a DIY, we definitely would not be able to get insurance. Like, it just wouldn't happen. So working with a company like OSEA, it would have happened, eh, Brett? Like, we can't even get insurance now. We can get liability, which most marinas accept, but for replacement, we're just taking the money that we would have insurance.
I'm confident we'll end up insured, and I think that will actually be a good show for everybody to have a 30-minute summary of what we went through to get you there. But a big part of it, guys, is commitment to that level of execution, right? So even if we just take ABYC or the U.S. Coast Guard or Transport Canada as standard bearers, making sure that we are in excess of their expectations makes it very difficult for an insurance company to rationalize the argument of why not, when there's so many other vessels that aren't worthy compared to what you'll have.
Good point.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry we can't get to the rest of the questions. We do have them. We'll look at them, and maybe I'll try to answer them on, I don't know, Facebook video. I don't know. Sorry, my head I am so high as a kite on daytime meds right now. Like, I'm just like, whoop. So you have to talk about what to call.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. We're going to call it there for tonight. As Jenna said, there's not going to be a Wednesday video this week, but I think we'll be back in business on Friday.
Yep. Brent, thank you so much for joining us from Mexico. Everybody, for the people who helped out with our pizza fund and with Operation Silent Running with the Wrenches, Rick becoming a new member, RV Sparky, Brad, Wayhart, Fabrizio, you guys are all just absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. If you want to become a member, check out our website, onboardtongaroo.com. We got lots of really cool swag and stuff that you get. And we got some neat projects coming up, like one really neat thing that we can't wait to release. And it's going to have custom Silent Running t-shirts with like the movie poster on the back. So it's coming. We are just in the works. Can't wait to release it, but look for that in the next month. Brent, any last thing to say? You're good? Be safe in Mexico, please. Everybody who is in the armed
forces tonight, guys.
Yeah. Everybody who's in the armed forces and everything right now down in the States, we're thinking of you guys and seeing what's happening. So God bless, and we will catch you guys later.